Give honest assurance to the Creator and Most High for making all this possible. My other video cut out. But I was giving us, let's get behind to the ancestors. Shit. This shit gonna be real and raw anyway. My previous video, I tried to press pause to continue it. I love myself. You tell yourself you love each other today. Fuck. I'm fucking beautiful inside and out. Listen, I ain't trying to be perfect. I ain't striving to be. Fuck this shit. This shit ain't for the faint of heart. This room is fucking dope. I should turn the other way to get the this glass door in there. But anywho, I have to just go ahead and just tell it like a TI is. This I try to tell you, that from doing the inner work in Lilith and Scorpio, this Lilith and Sag has my ass like on the rockers of like, now it's Capricorn season. I have to put in that work or put in that effort. No, for me, I got a Gemini moon, so I have to talk about it and complete it in so many different ways rather than trying to misdirect and put it elsewhere to things that are not, it's not just profitable, but more so the P word I'm looking for is more the positive, transmuting and alchemizing. Cause boy, they're fucking distractions, I tell you, people, places, and so forth. But let me jump right into this. If you're not familiar with the shift that's amongst us right now has a lot to do with when I said in my previous video that's gonna upload, I was talking about how like women, matriarchal maternal energy right now, as you know, a lot of you start to come deeper and deeper into depth with yourself, you're gonna realize like how not so much less dependable men are, but religious wise, externally wise, as you become more dependent on your intuition, your inner guidance, your inner compass, and so forth. This is a sense of self-empowerment. No more self-inflicted wounds. No more, not going down the road of self-sufficiency, self-love, and so forth. So what ends up happening, your trajectory, your direction changes. Not on just how you see yourself and how you see men, but what direction you take towards business, partner, friendship, everything in that realm, whether mentally, emotionally, what you align with. That in itself will allow you to build things amongst that. Men that are not empathetic are very dangerous. Not just dangerous in a sense of not being able to protect themselves, but they don't protect nobody. The infrastructures and patriarchally, the distortion that is crumbling right now is an infrastructure that doesn't emphasize, doesn't have at its core empathy. It doesn't prioritize empathy. It doesn't protect women and children. So the reason why I always encourage women, that it's going to take, one of my videos that's uploading, it's going to take your empathy for who you are and what you want to protect fiercely, moving into the future, moving into generations to come, moving into creating whatever life that you deserve and you want amongst whomever that is, with whomever that is, amongst leadership, amongst community, and so forth. It starts with you. No longer eating at tables that people who don't emphasize, no longer putting your energy, no longer signing things, giving your energy over into things that you know that's outdated. The video I was talking about previously, it's like you're going to be able to see clearly what is not going to be dependent upon, because that which gives off this false sense of longevity or sufficiency or even sustainability will be so obvious that the well has run dry. The spiritual and spiritual men and spiritual women will be sought after, meaning that the ones that are in tune, that have a connection to source, that has a connection to a higher power, that is in tune with what the blueprint, the new order of things that are happening. it's going to be so obvious. It's going to be so clear who is who and what is what. I was getting so much clarity on even certain people who are in positions and represent what, who don't even emphasize, have empathy for or emphasize for the children, even when it comes to them, the hunger around the world, the communities, the structures in place and so forth. Okay, with that, this is what you're going to see so clear or so prominent on not even just what you supported, but what you can all moving forward no longer have to put your energy towards. I was sitting here in my previous video, I was laughing, but it's comical truth, but at the same time, it's like I asked myself, with the inner work or shadow work that I didn't do, when I mean by that, like the subconscious things that I did not face as a man, how am I going to be in any way dependable or even supportive in any way if I don't know how to pull my own weight, if I don't know how to be self-sufficient emotionally first? If I'm building any type of structure, and see, this is the illusion that has been cast upon so many people. In the coming days, the reason why I speak about the man that's in tune and spiritual is because all a material man or all a man from certain generations that you see previously within, let's say, the last 80, 90 to 100 years, if that, when you're talking about dealing with baby boomers or men that come from baby boomers, whether it's their grandfathers and so forth, there is nobody exempt from, when you look at a collective consciousness of all of us being a part of a warlike mindset of versus this versus that, the ego versus this, or who has the biggest this and who has the most of this and so forth, all gathering up all these very things. And now that things are shifting, you'll be able to, the great divide has a lot to do with, you'll be able to see who can just only offer you, how can I say this, like bread or money, something materialistically, but nothing else. They cannot feed you spiritually. They can't feed you emotion. They're not able to feed the essence of what, the depths of a woman or the depths of in themselves. They're not able to feed you. They're not able to do that. And so now it's going to be clear who is who. It doesn't matter, like even your current spouses, even your current partners, even your current like leadership, all across the board, families and so forth. You'll be able to see, like, soon as you let's be real. A lot of women or a lot of us are coming to that awareness, like, wow, this person can only offer this. But I'm knowing now, as I grow, as I expand, that it's coming to a place where on a vibrational frequency level, as things shift, as things begin to grow, is this person in tune? Is this person in tune with their inner child? See, the thing about empathy, it doesn't matter who you were as a child. When you played on a playground, and this is before a lot of us was corrupted with other people, wicked deeds or whatever it is, before we were even abused, before anything was introduced or exposed to us very young. You put kids on a playground, in an open playground, or you put them somewhere and so forth, right? You will see babies, no matter their color, creed, and so forth, will see another baby cry, and you will see the act of them just come and compassionately, or will emphasize naturally. This shows you the connection to source, the connection to a higher power. They're able to emphasize. They're able to put themselves there. I'm not saying they do everything like perfectly, but and you hear this, when you see two babies hug, when you see this, now you're seeing the world has numbed themselves or lost themselves because of the lack of awareness when it comes to being able to emphasize, or people at their young age who probably were abused, whether sexually or mentally and so forth, emotionally, financially and so forth, they've never had people emphasize with them. They've always had people manipulate. They've always had people do things to keep them from, progressing, it seems. I said before in my previous video, I tell people, when you look at me, I represent an indigenous man, but indigenous people collectively. For me, in my realm of things, in my world, in my reality, from what I've experienced personally or firsthand that I can speak of, at times where I wanted my heart to turn cold because of how the world has been and how the world treated me, there's been parts where I was not called to be consumed by it. I was called to be in it, but not of it. So my message won't be that of this worldly shit or things that are familiar. Only to those who can connect and, connect the dots to be like, oh, you know what? This is in alignment with what I know I'm supposed to create. I have this resources, this person has this idea, and so forth and so forth. Because as the world collapses in on itself, people collapse in on themselves as their structures begin to crumble, as their internal structures begin to crumble, as they begin to almost, what is that? They use the term crash out and so forth. What I learned to do, and what I'm grateful for, is I never lost sight of the little boy inside of me. When I say never, did I? Yes, when I was younger, because of what was going on. But now, more importantly, I hold tight to that inner child. That inner child that when I was young, that had empathy, that had like even empathy and sympathy, but just had compassion for people who were on the street. This world reflects collectively what, not even just morals and principles, it has gotten away from so much of feminine archetypes. How fiercely the mother can protect as a lioness, but also how compassionate, how nurturing, how loving, how everlasting that feminine energy is when it comes to the maternal. And some of us have been at the hands of women who have lost sight generationally. Because what other men are coming along to remind other women and men the importance of what? You diving deeper into yourself. You now having the power to protect that inner child. By all means, that's that motherly energy. As you nurture yourself and set boundaries, I'm going to do every fucking thing in my power. The power of my ancestors for the highest good of all, the fierce warriors, the ones that came before me that had to live through things that I can't even put into words. And I dare forget about it? Absolutely not. There were women who wanted to lose sight of compassion and love and so forth with every ounce when the world wanted to turn them cold, especially women that are indigenous in certain demographics, when they wanted to lose sight, when they were dealing with their own mama shit, when they knew the hatred that mama had and so forth for them, the jealousy and so forth, but yet they still took other people's kids in. I didn't say they did it perfectly, because no one does. I just know that they're ready to be in a world and live in a community, in a place where that reciprocates what they've been given and continue to give, whether they are out-resourced because of another community, short-handed, given the short end of the stick and so forth. There still are those mothers who are fierce warriors at the end of the day, who get the fuck up. Make no excuses. I see you, because I know a lot of you. I know a lot of you who just simply wanting the best for their sons even when their fathers are not there. And they only can do their best. This ain't about this man being versus woman. No, this ain't about that. This is about a man learning to hold compassion and emphasizing for women and not trying to profit off of it, siphon their energy, feel like, oh, I got to get this from them. And if we're going to build this, or we're going to have this school, and we're going to build this community, I'm going to need y'all to donate $1 million. For what? The message is who it's for. I speak to the little girl inside of those women who no one had empathy for when she was sexually abused, when she had no protection even after that, when no one believed her. We're coming from generations of women who have lost sight of empathy. Then when you don't have women that have, when you have some of our mothers who have lost sight of that because they weren't protected, they became more rageful. They became more angry. And it's justifiable. It's valid. We just have no one to validate it. We have no one to sit across from them and say, I know why you mad, mama. I know why you mad, grandma. You never tell me, but I really know why you angry. You will never tell me. I really know why you hide behind Jesus or you hide behind religion. I know why you do it. I know why you use your magic. I know why you use your natural abilities, your spiritual gifts, and you just assuming because of how that man treated you or how such and such did and this person treated you, and you wanted to put that off on their family so they can keep that, because you were angry. Because you said, fuck the vengeance of the Lord. You are the Lord. You said vengeance is yours, and rightfully so. It's your birthright. Because there are things beyond me that I cannot control, but there are women who are going to get their spiritual justice. They are going to get it. Their physical and spiritual justice. And as much as y'all think that they won't see it, they are spiritual eyes watching. That's what makes those who are selected and anointed and appointed to do certain things so protected. Because there are oppositions and forces at play when it comes to someone with such power, with such, compassion. Because, see, the thing about emphasizing with someone, being able to put yourself in their shoes, the other things that I listed in previous videos about emphasizing with people or how to feel what they feel. Hey, I feel where you coming from. A lot of our mothers never had that shit. Hey, I feel where you come from. Let alone dealing with other things other than knowingly knowing what their ancestors went through. And no one ever came around and say, hey, not only in their family, because so many people have been distracted by religion. So many people have been coping and, through escapism with other shit. A mother never came around and say, hey, daughter, I may not have apologized, but I feel where you are. And I'm going to do everything I can. Not to mention we had people who apologized and said they were sorry and still manipulated the child. There are women who hold on to that. But I, as an indigenous man, a representation in this vessel, to all women that are darker, I may not know all the details, but I feel you. It's difficult because there are times where I've met other women, I've dated other women in other cultures, and I used to want them so much to be able to emphasize with women that were darker, so maybe you can have some type of resolution. And I realized how conflict avoidant people are because of the shame and guilt have carried on for so long. And they don't realize how much can change over a conversation. Because I know as I speak, I cannot speak for all women that are indigenous, but I can speak for the men that don't have the courage to say this. It's fucked up how people just continue to move on and act like those women emotions never mattered and still never matter to this day. And assuming that you will not get some type, there will be no type of consequences. They've been asked out of anyone and all women, and this is personally from dating women, darker women, having a mother and grandmother and so forth. They've been asked the most to just, something like, just put everything aside, keep going. When a lot of you are different shades that are lighter, have not just only used your status and your money and so forth, but you have propped yourself on this pedestal as if your emotions have mattered more than all women that are darker. These are the same women, indigenous women, that throughout eons, throughout the creation of everything, that have always stepped in on the behalf of all women, not just darker women, but all women. And it says so much about character and integrity, how now that things are coming to its dead end because of what you of lighter shaded women have enabled. And y'all never had people to tell you what you done is fucked up, it's not okay, because you don't want to feel what that woman feels. Because whatever blockage is in your heart, you're afraid to build a foundation with that woman. Because as much as a lot of people strive to try to be so much like them, it shows the thin line, as they say, between love and hate. You want to love and be a part of something, but you hate yourself so much so that you allow that hate to override the love of connecting to another being beyond their skin color. Just to say, you're straddling the fence now. You don't know what to do. Even more so of the women in Asiatic communities or people across the country who knowingly know where their ancestors of darker shade have went through Afrocentric type things or things in other countries that are going to be more prominent as things start to recover and uncover what it originally come from. Simply so that people can realize, like, how have you not have had a place of compassion for these women who have been stripped of so much of their identity, and how much you profit off of it through hair products, through in the community settings, liquor stores, owning stores, I can go on and on. And yet there's so many things where I watch people in the communities and see how people who can have it all, as I've told you before, in these boomer generations, they can have it all. Your husbands give you everything, but yet you are the stay-at-home mothers who can't even crack a smile, and your smile is just as fake as a $3 bill, or just as fake as the currency that's happening right now in the world. Like, it's just as the currency was built on, it's just as, depreciating like that. Your smile, the happiness that you have portrayed for so long is depreciating. And there's still an expectancy there for people to believe. And you're still asking the women that are darker, who have been at have dealt the short end of the stick for so long, to even trust in the men that don't even look like them, that make sure that they go without. Where's the empathy in that? The same men that you lay down with and go home with, the same fathers that you're proud of, that you knowingly know behind closed doors, whatever football programs, whatever communities they live in, whatever they go home to, that you knowingly know they have a disgust for indigenous and darker people. But yet, your essence, your spirit calls you to do something else, to be a part of something. But you can't realize that that blockage is the hatred, is the energetic stagnancy that has been in your lineage for so long. And as your dependency, as your foundations begin to crumble amongst the men in these times where you assumed that it was going to be the man that materialistically was going to support you, from these boomer generations, from men who lack all sense of empathy, morality, principles, that don't uphold anything that honors the femininity within us all. And yet now you mimic the same behavior. Life is going to force you to emphasize whether you like it or not. You can either love or hate. You can either learn, and what I mean by that, you can either learn that when you get to a place, you're gonna, in your shifting, and this is where it goes back to with men that right now that are so dangerous, who have not done the inner work, or have not, or tried to strive to heal, or do any type of shadow work, or face anything within themselves, knowingly what their father and forefathers and what they were a part of. It's going to be so clear and prominent, and you're going to be so disgusted. You're going to hate, some of you are going to even hate the fact that you lay down with these men and created. But that's where the compassion and empathy comes in. Because until you be able to see the little child and the little girl within you, then you'll be able to see what that little boy went through and see why the fuck he acts the way he acts. And that's when you are able to liberate yourself. That's why you're going to see a rise in so much of, what the marriage actually represents. And, the divorce rate increasing. Because a lot of people marry for status, or these fake unions, or these things that they were a part of. And there's no difference in the corporations and business that they also contractually agreed to. Still, what makes you think that the karma didn't follow that man before you arrived into his life? What makes you think as a woman that your integrity, your character doesn't reflect the men that you're with, and surround yourself with, just as the men who surround themselves with whatever type of women, whatever type of people? It's obvious that y'all going to see how it ain't even just so much of evil or wicked, but how unrighteous, how unclean people's spirits and hearts are and have been for so long. Because enlightenment, and once you align your chakras and shift, it forces you to purge that shit. It forces you to cleanse your heart, to clear your heart of that grief and hatred that your mothers and fathers carry, that you know generationally, that you built all this shit for so long, only to realize it was built upon what? You're so proud of that? I'm gonna say proud of that, Patty. Y'all so proud of that. And that's why pride comes before the fall. The energies have to play out. So you're going right ahead and be dependent on those very men who have no sight. How can you depend on even focus, or the men are showing you who don't have empathy? They're showing you clearly their actions, their intentions on what it is here. I don't care. I tell you all the time, I don't care if it's athletes. I don't care what their status is. Those other people that y'all see that, whether they're artists that have been in the public eye and so forth, they're no different than y'all fathers, people in the communities, people going away from the streets and so forth, because that's an energy. This shit is being cleaned up whether you like it or not. If you don't have people going to prison, you don't have someone owning the fucking prison. You don't have people going to jail. You don't have no one holding in jail. Do y'all not realize the shift of what people are here to create? You let people over there that love to hate and create bullshit and fight and do all that, let their goofy ass stay over there. Let their dysfunctional ass, they're afraid to face things, stay over there. Now you have to prioritize and create what you have to do here. Align with that and then see who aligns with that and be discerning. Empathy, you see the behaviors of a lot of our generations of young women right now? Because y'all are here to guide us out of that shit as mothers. You know how many men try to do things and then they try to infiltrate that man with lust, with certain things to keep him distracted? That is a reason behind that. Very powerful men use whatever they can. A woman who pretends she cares. See, the beauty of things now, those who are in tune will be able to become aware. Who's who? Who wants to clout chase? Who wants to just be a part of something? And really, they're just like a virus. Any way they can get in. Like I said, it's going to be very prominent and clear. You're going to be able to see who is what and who's been a part of what and so forth. It's not about saving anyone. You have the opportunity to save self. Saving yourself has a lot to do with restoring and recovering the love within you. And then your actions will show that. I haven't always had it together. I'm still fucking learning the fact of like emphasizing being able to put myself in someone else's shoes. This is not a country that prioritizes that. You love or have propped the men on pedestals that are for violence and danger and, to be, even do pedo type behavior. Y'all protected that. And whether you knew it unconsciously or not, it's just the real and raw. So what do you think the opposite of that is going to be? No one protected y'all. So unconsciously, you enable that. Men and women. You think the men are going to say something and stuff that makes them so a much amount of money or whatever? And even with that, their greed, when y'all pull away, the energy of that no longer is there, because women connect all things current when it comes to monetary. Women are supporters. Whatever you see is happening in whatever dynamic, tech, I don't care what it is, artistry and so forth. There's always more women in everything. There just hasn't been women in things where they have empathy. When I look at indigenous women in certain demographics, depending on where they're at, they have this one-up behavior. They'll even show it and flaunt it, like, oh, look at what I got, da-da-da-da. That still reflects. That don't reflect empathy. All of that shit reflects a distorted mother, a wounded woman who has to showcase, who has to boast in front of people, who has to show other women she has it, who has to alter her face and her body to prove that she's pretty. I'm concerned about what's really going on inside. Who didn't emphasize with that child young to know that she's beautiful inwardly first and then outwardly? Now, if it's something that, whether something has happened that's beyond my control, people have free will, to each their own. But when it comes to the fact of where I realize, when you see empathy removed in a lot of things, then you're dealing with a lot of society and people who have never had someone put themselves where they were. They never had someone sit down and say, I see why you feel that way. And then stick with them. And it's so funny because I told my part of this shit years ago. I told the mother of my children this years ago. I said, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I do know why. I said, I told y'all, and I told her just like I tell any woman of a lighter shade, there is going to come a time where you assume that you were here, right? And through maybe a natural disaster, through something, the Most High is going, the source is going, Big Mama, whatever you want to call it, the energy is going to place you in a position where you can either create more karma with people that are indigenous or a darker shade. Do y'all not see how this shit is happening? You will create more karma, or you will create more dharma. You will create more lessons for yourself. Hardship. Because what makes you think you exempt just because your grandma and them, you didn't do exactly what they're doing? You just evolved the shit. You still overlook women because of you're in a community. You still overlook certain people because you don't feel like you can relate. But I told you about reading on empathy, emphasizing. What is it? The something mind. I have to look more into it. My first video I'll talk about it. You choose not to feel what that other lady feel or put yourself there. Because that is, you know what they'll do? They'll do something to your ass inside. They'll be able to put you on a playground with a little dark girl that you, at the time, you care nothing about what she looked like. You would just play with her. You would just interact with her. You would build friendships. A lot of you have friendships or partnerships or whatever it is with people until you start dating this person. And all of a sudden, they don't, you start to realize their lineage came along with people who didn't probably like darker people. So all of a sudden now, their character, their shit start to rub off on you. Now all of a sudden, you can't be around Keisha no more. You can't be around such and such no more. You don't want to go down there no more. And some of y'all go up around it. Because what has happened through that division and through that divide, the very thing that pull y'all apart is the very fucking thing that's going to bring you together. Your hatred is going to bring you either to a place where you can love yourself, to actually bridge love for other people, or your hatred is going to destroy yourself from the inside out. And that's what's going to happen. That's your judgment. You're going to rot from the inside out. And that's the thing about a seed. That's the thing about fruit. That's what's rotting out. We're in the garden, baby. Certain fruit, seeds, people who represent family trees, their seeds will not live on. They're rotten. Their fruit is rotten. When you're seeing generations of people, the energy that they carry, the fruit of their offsprings will destroy each other. And y'all want to be a part of that shit. Not me. I won't. This reminds you of like, I don't know why Cain and Abel, but certain biblical texts tells you about how certain people, they are impure. I didn't say all people of lighter shade. Y'all don't realize that's the cleansing that's happening. Come out from them. What is that verse? Come out from them. That's what's being happened. The wheat from the chaff has been, oh my gosh, the thing that has been so light, so here everywhere. The wheat from the chaff. And it's like the way they beat it, it's like something you gotta like, that's the inner work. It seems like you been getting your ass beat spiritually. And here it is, you think you gotta stand somewhere. Nah, the whole time you being split and separated. That's what's so vital about this. It's like osmosis, like certain things are being split apart. And think about, that ape, when, osmosis as it split apart, and just think if it's two people that were at a point in time where it's like this as a union and cells split. You'll be able to see what's what from this side and that side. So people are really starting to see clearly. And that ain't, skin folk don't make kinfolk. Skin folk don't make kinfolk. So from all of this, I'm telling you, I'm just a messenger. Like I said, you're going to see very clear the hearts of men in these moments. The hearts of women too, who enable those men. You're going to be able to see the hearts of people. You don't do nothing. Just be grateful that Source has removed your ass from these people and protect yourself. You haven't been removed for no reason. That's what some of y'all not realize, as cycle breakers, you're breaking a pattern. That means you're being removed, pulled out, pulled away. Because it's something, oh, that's my husband, this my dad, this my dad. But your karma was to learn that lesson. To realize, like, you caught up in the title, but not seeing the spiritual significance of what's keeping your ass attached unhealthily attached, or keeping you bound to that person. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people who, in marriages and so forth, and I could just see them. They're dying inside and rotting inside. And I used to look at a man. I used to be like, dang. I'm like, whoa. You got some folks, they can have all the money, they'll date the richest person, and you don't know what that person carrying spiritually, boy. Y'all don't know what people be carrying spiritually. Y'all don't know what people vices and so forth, and all of a sudden you don't lay it down, all of a sudden you don't know what don't. And so now it's like, man, shit is, man. I feel like, I don't know, this is my analogy. This just came to me. I got this orange, right? And it was talking about how, well, in that story, I think it's just like, I see it's metaphorically, but this is just my analogy from people who wasn't supposed to eat a certain fruit in the garden. I feel like that comes from the fact of, like, people touching or interacting with something that they're not supposed to. And that's what tainted not only their spirit, but the spirit of their generations, or, you know, certain things. And y'all don't realize, like, I be telling y'all about protection in people is because when people don't do the inner work, I don't care if you're wherever you are, it doesn't matter what gender, if you don't subscribe to that and so forth. Yo, when the cleansing is happening, and you're being purified and so forth like that, it's not about overnight and just doing it overnight. It's about simply knowing that, hold on one second, let's finish this up. It's about simply knowing that it's just some shit that are not supposed to be, you know, that almost like, they use the term blasphemous, or just not supposed to be tampered with or touched. And it's similar to, like, you know, touch not my anointed. Let me continue. One second, I gotta move somewhere. So, you know, what I was saying, it's similar to, hold on. So, yeah, shit like that, boy, shit like that. Ooh, I like that picture. But that glare right there. But anywho, it's funny how I just came across this book. Plant Magic at Home. Ashe. This book was in his study room. Oh, dandelion, man. So yeah, what was I at with this? Oh, I like this. This was here for a reason. A complete guide to harnessing the power of nature, from Richard D. Interesting. I saw that for a reason. I'm just gonna wipe this shit. But yeah, continuing Oh yeah. So yeah, when I was telling you about like that karma aspect of things, that empathy, let me tell you something. If I'll be the first to say, like speaking for indigenous people, like I tell you, I like Bernie Man. He always I quote this shit. He's like, I say the shit you're afraid to say. It's not I don't care about being liked or accepted or people agreeing with any, like, I really don't give a fuck. Because a lot of indigenous people really have that hatred for people that are like a lighter complexity. A lot of them simply because what it is, I feel like it's because of lack of empathy they don't have for us or have had that we have had. Because, you know, for some of us, we feel like we're more compassionate people than people. And we have been more, and I feel like that's what has sustained a lot of this shit in humanity is because through all the violent, like, you know, and it happens through every culture and shit, but just through the mistreatment, the dehumanization, the devaluation in so many ways, it's just like, people like almost like I can see a lot of elders like they hate their life. They literally they'll never say it, but this is why I can see like with the mistreatment of their kids and grandkids and so forth. I can see that's probably like why with my grandmother and a lot of those elders, again, they didn't like grow up on generations of like again, a lot of compassion being held for them. Like when you're talking about people really going through a lot of shit, dealing with people who are racist, dealing with people who, again, were invited into this land for one, brought into this space and literally manipulated, tried to do everything to take everything, not just emotionally, mentally, physically, but spiritually, and try to deprive them of their identity. Like, yo, do y'all not realize like how much when it comes to people being so for their spiritual beliefs, their ancestral truths, and they're, you know, dealing with things ritualistic, you know, restoring things ritualistically, things dealing with their bloodline, the pride and honor that they take in that shit. Especially for myself, like how much I love the versions and what I have come to discover and rediscover and remember and recall and so forth. Man, only a fucking fool or dummy will attempt to think that how powerful we have, you know, become and taken back our power. And the beauty of even still sustaining some type of fucking ounce of empathy, not just for ourselves and grace, but for people that are lighter, because deep down, people won't say it, but they do have hatred for people that are lighter shade, or people may say white and so forth. But deep down, I realize like, as much as they want to let that hate consume them like a virus in a computer or like a virus in your venom, like allow that, they just simply won't. And that's the beauty I realize that I stand in love with every fucking day, bro. Every fucking moment is that I'm able to even just rise and be able to stand in love and authenticity and integrity, and knowing that no one could deprive me, convince me, manipulate me, bring any amount of fucking money for me to be like, oh, I gotta give up my integrity. I gotta give up this and that, because some people have. But even through that, it's like, as you know, because this is a spiritual thing first, a spiritual warfare, even with that, the spirits come to collect in different ways rather than people think it's just on a physical thing. No, they come to collect differently. I made a video, I forgot the powerful brother that spoke about how when spirit comes to collect, it comes to collect in ways where it removes things that can be more valuable to what you think on a surface level, but it's more valuable. And this is, I'm getting somewhere with this, where you think something is more valuable. And I feel like this is what has kept people of indigenous heritage and culture and root working and spirituality and things like that. The love for, the compassion and just the empathy for what's running through their veins for so long and will forever infinitely be an amazing thing through their artistry, their music, and so forth, through the pain, through his, blood, sweat, and tears, is the fact that they know that no matter, through the natural order of things, they have that. They have that which cannot be bought. And that's how I feel like even with my artistry, when I create things, it's like I can tell that's the magic and that's the beauty of a lot of things. It's like I can be able to express, use my magic as create in whatever unique way without any goofy ass person, whomever trying to tell me I'm not able to do whatever I'm supposed to, and that's the beauty of, I realize like in certain lineage and generations, we've had to lose ourselves and lose sight only for that ancestral guidance to remind us to light our path again to where we may have stepped off and ventured into something religiously but then there's still power in those who in the South or certain, aspect who used it for, deeper meaning that I won't get into, but then there's others who abused it. And so, and there's other ways again where we ventured off into things, but we always find our way, returning to the path. And when I say we venture off, because sometimes we venture off to what's familiar rather than traveling the path least traveled. And see, that's what's so uncomfortable for people. This path in itself, returning to empathy, allows me to realize that this was something that was bestowed in me and I've carried for so long. And I can say at a point in time, because of what I dealt with just as a man of indigenous heritage or just being native, indigenous to this land, or just a connection to a lot of shit here. It's like, again, a lot of us want to, we want so much to, how could I say this? Like, when you're dealing with energy or you're dealing with people going through spiritual warfare, I can see why other people's fear of people coming into power, when I'm talking about divine retribution, is for a man such as myself, not even just my stature, but the power, that I know within myself, that I can apply, that I can influence, that I can use, and not even just to manipulate, but the power to destroy as others have in such a manipulative, in such a ciphering, in such a confusing, in such in a violent abuse, so many different ways, controlling ways. And it just shows me again the different foundations and missions that people have, because for some people their mission was to literally play out what it is that has been reenacted through their lineage. And so for me, I'm telling myself, I too, at a time, whether, I've talked about like dealing with repressed and suppressing emotions, and then being part of oppressing not only what I've experienced, but what was laying dormant within me, and then oppressing the people around me because of refusing to get the fuck on and get out and away from what was familiar. Because how I'm not a part of that game if I'm still doing what's familiar? How am I not enabling the young men and, around me to, to subscribe and to dim their light if I'm trying to, play into the same narrative of doing the same thing. When I look at now, all of a sudden the street culture, people shit changing and stuff like that. At a point in time, it's like no one questioned who influenced it. But now look how many lives it has changed, or lives that have transitioned. People who have supported such things, and now you have mothers and grandmothers or people who have never seen their fathers or will never see their fathers or mothers. And so, people not realizing when you're interacting or coming into certain spaces, you are fucking energetically being able to create karma. More karma or more dharma. Research the meanings. You, again, when I express to y'all a lot to where what's currently happening has a lot to do with who is truly within themselves. When you're doing the inner work, when it comes to the feminine archetype, cleansing out that which, whatever vices, whatever spiritual warfare, whatever programming, whatever deep, suppressed, repressed patterns, behavior patterns, and so forth that have kept you repeating in certain behavior patterns, whatever is not acknowledged, whatever is not accounted for, and so forth, acknowledged, and so, you energetically, whether you know it or not, will reenact these things and create more karma, create more lessons for either you or generations after. After that, then you will create, what do you think? So it don't matter who you are. Don't matter your status, celebrity status, whatever it is. This Lilith and Sagittarius transit is going to, I tell y'all, it's going to illuminate those very people in certain status, corporations, the dogma around it, the religious constraints, the control, the manipulation around all these things for for sovereignty and liberation purposes, to keep people behind borders, to keep people, like all these things at a point in time that was never intended, because people migrated. Our ancestors had to migrate. People were nomads, naturally this. All this stuff is sitting around the distortion and exploitation of the patriarchal. And with that, it's only going to expose more of why, due to false empowerment, false leadership, people who have been put in place and assume they got away with things, but no, boy, it's a fucking reckoning that is happening. There is a reckoning, like it's nothing to save people from. It's a reckoning ahead. It's something no one can control, because I always tell y'all, no one's bigger than the program. In moments like this, it's something as simple like somebody didn't get their SNAP benefits and something, and you still have people sit back, not realizing like you had an opportunity to do something. And I didn't say boast and go record this shit and all like that. No, I'm talking about the fact of doing something and not looking. Because there's a difference between integrity, authenticity, or in a way of doing things to where you're not doing it for this attention. Again, this behavior, this comes from a false sense of, this comes from insecurity. This doesn't come from a stable place. That's not even emphasizing with the person. I didn't say you didn't have sympathy or compassion, but this is what's going to expose these characters on so many levels, where they feel like they have to just show that they did this and build this and do that and so forth. You can build shit in silence. You can create stuff. That's everything. You don't have to, what they say, show your hand. So as this becomes more evident, this is just a way shower, a clearing. Energies have to show who they are through people, through certain circumstances. So now that certain things could be, so that a rite of passage can be made for generations after, and so forth. So yeah, when I see certain behaviors, when I see, like, come on, when I listen to certain music and I'm saying, like, I was a part of that shit. I'm like, damn, I get like it's a great thing that feel that energy and anger, and then that righteous anger is depending on how you direct it. But there's a way of realizing like, dang, now you got people. I saw a video of certain people addressing the fact that, well, you knew you got paid to make that music to derail the youth. Okay, you're not exempt. You're not excluded. Now I heard some brothers say, now y'all want to denounce or renounce the streets and so forth. But that don't mean you get away. That's not how karma is. That don't mean you get away with things. It just comes differently. It just hits people differently. You know, I feel like with breaking cycles of breaking generational curses, things like that, patterns, there hasn't to be a genuine acknowledgement of like the fact of how it has harmed people. They'll not realize like how actions in itself, one action can harm. Like you talking about things that have been done that have harmed nations, millions of people, economically. Do y'all realize the energy, the karma that has been collected from that? Man, I'm gonna leave it right here, man, because I got some other stuff to do. But the beauty of all of this is to show us like you get to choose what you want to do. And see, the thing about what I'm so grateful for, and at a time psychologically, and this is how deep the programming was, is that I give so much gratitude for resilience and staying persistent. Resilient, a praying grandmother, a great grandmother, those for the betterment of all, the ancestors on the other side intervening, the spirit guides and so forth. And it's funny I'm talking about karma, just for that divine protection, I give gratitude. Because I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Shout out to what's her name, Queen Cup on YouTube. It was something in her video that she said that really lightened my heart to realize like what you doing, what people have done is already written for them. That's how karma is. That means when they're choosing to go up against you to do certain things, whether behind the scenes you don't see it or not, whether governmentally, whether spiritually, whether it's so forth, their karma is accounted for and written for. So in times where I had to learn where it's too much energy to take for me to even do anything to want to seek revenge or retaliate. Because even with that, sometimes that shit can be a distraction from the present moment for what I'm currently doing. To worry about not even what someone says or what they've done and so forth. I'm saying like, yo, hold on, wow, that really hit me. You worried about, she was like, why are you worried about what is it? Don't worry about what's gonna happen to them. What they did to you is already written. That means they collected their karma. Now it's on them or whomever after them to clear that karmic debt. And see, this is why I always like share with y'all. And I realized like this was even coming up why I had to be removed from certain friends and certain people, relationships and so forth, is because as you don't just grow, and I don't mean just on a romantic level or, on a certain, level and so forth, just consciously, I realized like with evolving and growing that people didn't want to expand beyond just where they were. They didn't want to grow. They didn't want to do the inner work and so forth. So with that, this is that left behind, or you realize like they're not able to go. Their spirit, their essence won't let them, because what's blocking them has nothing to do with you. It's on an internal level. So with that, when people should have supported and they had the opportunity eye to eye, or when you were here and they chose differently, when they try to, what they say, write you off and so forth, in the stars it was written, and their karma was written right there. When they came across, some people say an earth angel, when they came across someone who had a heart of giving or had a heart or doing things, and they chose to do what? They felt why? Because, this could be different analogies or different circumstances. They felt because, they're darker, they're black, or whatever term they want to use. I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to help them. Or in the industry, well, their jealousy or something peaked, something internally. I'm not going to support them. They may become bigger than me. Not realizing energy transfer, things expand. That connection could have been built upon something to expand something greater for the collective. See, this is where I tell y'all that selfishness comes in when you allow people to create their own karma. You allow them what she said? She said they'll get what was written for them, what they done, they'll get what they deserve. And I was like, oh my goodness, that shit hit me. I was like, wow, that was an aha moment. She was like, they'll get what they deserve. And it's not wishing nothing on no one. They'll get what they deserve. That means like they felt that they deserve to treat you a certain way, or they felt that they deserve that. They'll withhold whatever it is. And so from that, they refused, that they didn't want to learn a lesson. So they deserve another lesson, or they deserve something completely different. So I'm saying like, oh. So I had to learn to not take it personal with stuff like happens like that, but realize like they wasn't in their reality, they thinking they were making it hard for me. So imagine people, who have went along for generations, and now you have systems coming in play, and now you have new innovations or new creations or things coming that can only be channeled through certain people that want to abuse it. And here it is, people, they'll get what they deserve, whatever monetary, whatever financial, whatever housing, whatever it is, that we know that is either could possibly be depleting, an old world narrative, or old something, an old story. They'll get what they deserve. That's what they feel they deserve. Some things I realize, like, people are not worthy or deserving of not just your love, your energy, but the fact of that be divine protection. It wasn't written for them because they wasn't ready. It was written for them to connect, but they were not ready. They were not ready to expand beyond their what was familiar. And so they're going to get what they deserve. And that's the thing I had to learn when you wish them well. And as alchemists, you realize, you know what? I appreciate that. And this is where I told you about the PTSD becomes the PTG, post-traumatic growth. So now you're able to transmute and alchemize it into a positive way of growth. Take that post-traumatic, stress disorder, and now grow from it. Now expand on it. Now smile through it. Not skip. I said smile, feel, do whatever you do. Hold space for yourself. Hold empathy for yourself to realize, like, you know what? I wasn't be a part of that program. I wasn't supposed to go on that trip, And you know what? Sometimes at that moment, I felt like I didn't deserve it. But now I realize like I was deserving of more, of better, of something that aligned. So I'm going to leave y'all with that because, man, let people get what they deserve. Because they felt you deserve that. So now you get what you deserve. And that's the thing about patience and seeds being planted. You get what you deserve and more. Peace and blessings. Shalom.